NZXT expands its spiffy motherboard lineup with a Z590 model for Rocket League. The N7Z590 is based on Intel's latest chipset for its newest gaming CPUs. NZXT makes some of the most aesthetically pleasing motherboards on the market, provided you like the look of metal white or black covers that hide the majority of the printed circuit board. Its latest offering, the N7Z590, carries on that tradition. As the model name implies, the N7Z590 is based on Intel's flagship Z590 chipset for its 11th Gen Core desktop processors, like the Core i9-11900K, otherwise known as Rocket League. Underneath all those sleek covers sits a 6-layer PCB and a 12+2 DRMOS power phase design. More layers can mean more traces and/or better separation of traces, which can be helpful in reducing electromagnetic interference. A 6-layer PCB is sort of mid-range in the grand scheme of things. Some cheaper boards use 4 layers, while more expensive ones can have 8 or even 10 layers. As for the power phase design, higher numbers are generally better. The first number indicates VRM phases for the CPU and the second number points to VRM phases for other components, to deliver cleaner power. This can help with stability, especially when overclocking. You can install up to 128 GB of DDR4 4600 memory on the N7Z590. And for storage chores, the board serves up 4 SATA 6 GB per second ports and a pair of M.2 slots for those gumstick-sized SSDs. One of those slots supports PCI Express 4.0, unless you install a Comet Lake processor, then it drops down to PCI 3.0, to take full advantage of PCI 4.0 SSDs, some of which push speeds in the neighborhood of 7,000 MB per second. The rear I/O consists of the following: 2 USB 2.0, 3 USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A, 1 USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2 Type C, 4 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A, 1 HDMI 2 wireless antenna SMA connectors, 1 clear seamless button, 1 LAN, RJ45, 1 optical S/PDIF, 1 8-channel audio. Connectivity is expandable by way of several onboard headers. You'll also find headers for plugging in all-in-one liquid coolers and RGB lighting. And for wireless connectivity, this board supports Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.1. We have not spent any hands-on time with the N7Z590, but we did review the N7Z490, and we're generally impressed with the performance, features, and pricing. AES-ROC actually makes NZXT's motherboards, hence why it can maintain competitive pricing, and we assume that is still true of the Z590. That said, the price is a little higher on the N7Z590. NZXT is selling it for $280, compared to $230 for the N7Z490, Intel, and N7B550, AMD. Like those other models, you can choose between white or black covers. Or just leave them off if you prefer to see the PCB. The $77 million PUBG cheating empire smashed by the Chinese cops, and the founder who escaped. I think we did it purely because we were the best cheat for the most popular game. Cheating has been around in video games forever, but the industry's meteoric success over the last few decades has turned it into a genuine side business. You don't need to look hard to find them. Any game worth making cheats for will have someone, somewhere, beavering away on a method of breaking the rules. And, almost always, charging for it. The phenomenal success of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and particularly in the Chinese market, has seen it targeted by countless cheats. One of, if not the biggest of all, was called Cheat Ninja, until its closure in January this year. Vice has managed to track down the cheat's original developer for a remarkable story. This person is given the alias Catfish, for the obvious reason that they remain wanted by the Chinese authorities. Cheat Ninja became the focus of a huge legal investigation in early 2020 before, in January this year, key figures were arrested. But not Catfish. Having been tipped off by unusual behavior from the arrested figures, Catfish used a good old hammer to destroy all their drives, then wiped their cheat servers and began to lie low. The scale of Cheat Ninja's operation was revealed when, in April, the police announced charges against the arrested figures, and alleged it made $77 million from cheats, a figure Catfish thinks is roughly accurate thanks to Bitcoin inflation, though an earlier estimate was $46 million. This was coming from subscribers who'd pay between $10 and $15 monthly, and Catfish estimated that at its peak the cheat was attracting 1,000 new subscribers a day and bringing in an astonishing $350,000 a month. This is totally not the norm of the cheat market though, Catfish says. I think we did it purely because we were the best cheat for the most popular game. Catfish seems a bit of an odd fish, at one point saying I want to ruin these companies. games and damage their profits before apparently thinking better of it and saying he's quitting the pay-to-cheat scene. There are so many fascinating aspects to this side industry, such as that, when Cheat Ninja disappeared, and even before that point, a whole layer of scammers emerged trying to pretend that their software was Cheat Ninja. Brand politics among cheaters. What a world. Vice's article goes into huge detail on Cheat Ninja and Catfish's role, and is well worth the read. The next generation of Windows will be revealed on June 24th. A week after teasing the most significant overhaul of Windows 10 yet, Microsoft has nailed down the date. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said last week that the next generation of Windows is in the works and would be revealed soon. And he wasn't kidding. Microsoft has now announced that an event showcasing what's next for Windows will take place on June 24th. Unsurprisingly, neither the tweet nor the link offers details about what to expect, but Nadella called it one of the most significant updates to Windows of the past decade at Microsoft's recent Build conference. Expectations are definitely high. In March we said that the upcoming Sun Valley update is as close as we'll get to Windows 11, and in a job listing posted in May, Microsoft said it's on a multi-year journey to revolutionize the Windows UX platform. That's maybe a little hyperbolic, but Windows 10 is now 6 years old, which makes it positively elderly in Windows terms. Some kind of major move is definitely due at this point, and even though I really don't like my PC's setup being messed with, I'm actually looking forward to seeing what's next. The What's Next for Windows livestream will kick off at 8 AM PT/11 at ET. Looks like Intel's new Z gaming GPU is finished and ready to roll. Raj is just waiting on the software team, showing off the most powerful Intel gaming GPU in the wild. Seriously, it looks like he's in the woods. Raja Kaduri has a tendency to publish some absolute filth on his Twitter profile. Case in point, the latest silicon obscenity he's exposed us to today. It's positively NSFW. The strangely offset chip cradled between his digits is the most powerful of Intel's new gaming GPUs, the B0 stepping of its Intel ZHPG 512 execution unit DG2. He calls it real candy and it certainly looks pretty sweet. Well, shiny at least. It also looks like a pretty chunky GPU. And that B0 stepping indicates the hardware could actually be finished too. We were hoping that Intel would launch its first true gaming-focused graphics card with its most performant chip, and it's looking a lot like that's going to be the case. The 512EU model will be the top of the new DG2 chips using the ZHPG architecture. And if you're wondering how that stacks up against new AMD and NVIDIA GPUs with core counts numbering in the thousands, Intel's execution unit doesn't really equate to the floating point units the current GPU makers tout as cores. Each of those EUs can run up to 8 floating point operations per clock, so we can actually look at it as having the equivalent of 4096 cores if we want to try and get a comparison with the red and green teams. In terms of performance, we're thinking that this 512EU card will be taking aim squarely at the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3070 in terms of performance. If you were hoping that Intel would come out swinging at the top of the market, you might be a little disappointed at that. But if it can match the RTX 3070, itself a great gaming card, and do so with a competitive price point, it could be a massive success for Intel. There is also expected to be a 384EU chip launching in the discrete GPU range, with smaller 256 and 128EU versions being used for future gaming laptops. The B0 stepping indicated by the scroll on the PCB shows this is a few iterations down the line. In short, this isn't some early prototype, this is well on the road to production. Intel has already stated that DG2 is right around the corner, it's about to get exciting. And, honestly, having another GPU maker parachuting vital supplies into the graphics card drought, just when we need them, does make this the perfect time for Intel to get into the game and make things potentially very exciting indeed. So long as the graphics card drivers are on point, anyways. However good the hardware ends up being, the software is what's going to make or break this third option in the cutthroat GPU market. Sony Studios boss says not to expect future PS5 exclusives to hit PC at launch. Herman Hulst says that if you want PlayStation games at launch, then you should get a PlayStation console. Sony's been going pretty big on PC in recent months. In early 2021, Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan said that a whole slate of PlayStation games were headed for PC, and it subsequently had success with PC ports of Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone. It also appears that Uncharted 4 is coming our way, although we're yet to receive official confirmation of that. That doesn't mean that Sony is quite ready to go full Shereses with the PC on all its latest and greatest stuff. In a recent Q&A session on the PlayStation blog, PlayStation Studios boss Herman Hulst made it clear that if you want to jump into PlayStation games when they launch, you're going to have to do it on a PlayStation console. We're still early on in our planning for PC. And Horizon Zero Dawn has been very successful, Hulst said. I think it shows there's an appetite from gamers outside the PlayStation ecosystem to experience the amazing portfolio of games that PlayStation fans have enjoyed for years. But I want to emphasize that PlayStation will remain the best place to play our PlayStation Studios titles at launch. But we do value PC gamers, and will continue to look at the right times to launch each game. Ben Studio just released the PC version of Days Gone on May 18th. So that's about 2 years after the PS4 release. Hulst said that the goal of bringing PlayStation games to PC is to broaden the audience for its games beyond console owners. But, he added, releasing games on PC will not come ever at the expense of building an exciting lineup of great console games. Exclusivity is one of the PlayStation's biggest strengths, and so I can't say I'm surprised that Sony would want to preserve it to the maximum extent possible for the PlayStation 5. Based on the response to Horizon Zero Dawn and anticipation for Uncharted 4, I think it's also fair to say that making PC owners wait doesn't seem to be dampening their enthusiasm. There's really just no good case for Sony moving to simultaneous launches on console and PC. Hulst made a similar comment about future development for the PlayStation 4 console, saying that Sony will continue to make games for both consoles where it makes sense, but that it's also very important to have showpieces for PS5. And that's fine, the PlayStation 5 may be the latest and greatest, but there are plenty of PlayStation 4 exclusives like Bloodborne and The Last of Us we'd still very much like to see come to PC.